What if I told you that for nearly 2,000 years, millions of Christians have misunderstood one of the most quoted sayings of Jesus, and that this misunderstanding completely altered the message he actually intended to communicate? A single sentence, repeated endlessly, rarely questioned, and almost never explored in its original depth. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. A line from the Gospel of Matthew that sounds simple on the surface, yet carries a meaning far more radical than most people realize. Now picture this moment vividly. You are standing in Jerusalem around the year 30 AD. The sun is directly overhead, the heat is intense, and the air feels heavy. Inside a crowded synagogue, more than 200 people are packed together, listening closely to a young teacher from Galilee. When Jesus speaks these words, something remarkable happens. No one gasps, no one protests, no one assumes he is encouraging people to accept physical abuse. Listen carefully. No one there understood his words the way we often do today. Why? Because those listeners shared cultural and linguistic knowledge that has largely been lost over time. They understood nuances of the Greek language and the symbolic world of Jewish society in the first century. What you're about to hear doesn't just reframe a single verse, it reshapes the entire meaning of this teaching. When Jesus spoke about the right cheek and offering the other, he was not advocating submission, weakness, or silent suffering. He was pointing to something far more intentional and transformative. Jesus was unveiling a form of resistance so intelligent and powerful that it would echo through history. And if you're someone who enjoys uncovering hidden layers, details most people skim past when reading scripture, this message is for you. What's shared here goes far beyond surface-level interpretation, and what you're hearing now is only a glimpse of what can be uncovered when these texts are examined carefully. To truly grasp this, we need to step back a few more years, into the dusty regions of Galilee around the year 27. Jesus is about 30 years old, standing on a hillside near Capernaum. Behind him, the Sea of Galilee reflects the blazing sunlight. In front of him stands a crowd of ordinary people. Farmers crushed by heavy taxes, fishermen struggling to survive, craftsmen living under a foreign occupation known for its cruelty and brutality. These people didn't theorize about violence, they lived it. They had seen Roman soldiers strike Jews in the streets for not moving quickly enough. They had heard the screams of prisoners punished publicly. Many carried scars on their bodies and in their memories, evidence of years of humiliation and oppression. They understood power, injustice, and domination firsthand. And it is to this audience that Jesus delivers a teaching that sounds, at first glance, impossible. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other. The crowd shifts uneasily. Quiet murmurs ripple through the people. Is he really telling them to accept humiliation? To submit without resistance? But this is precisely where the teaching takes a turn that leaves anyone who understands it stunned. The original listeners of Jesus knew something most people today have forgotten. In ancient Jewish culture, there were several distinct types of blows, each carrying a specific legal and social meaning. Not all acts of striking were the same. A simple slap was only one among many gestures. Jesus, deeply trained in scripture and law, chose his words with extreme precision, terms that did not describe a normal physical assault at all. So what was Jesus really talking about? This is where many modern interpretations fall apart. When we examine the historical, legal, and linguistic background, something extraordinary emerges. What Jesus describes doesn't even align with a typical physical strike. Jesus specifically mentions the right cheek. In the original Greek, the word used is dexios, This detail is crucial. Most people, both then and now, are right-handed. If someone strikes another person with their right hand, the natural impact would be on the left cheek. To strike the right cheek, one would have to use the back of the hand. And here is where everything changes. In Jewish and Roman culture, a blow with the back of the hand was not considered ordinary violence. It was a deliberate act of social humiliation. It was a gesture used to assert dominance and inferiority. Roman soldiers used it on conquered peoples. Masters used it on slaves. It was a symbolic act meant to shame, not to injure. Between social equals, such a gesture was unthinkable because it would lower the status of the one delivering it. This reveals something critical. Jesus was not addressing physical harm. He was talking about attacks on dignity, honor, and social standing. Not pain inflicted on the body, but disgrace inflicted on a person's identity. Then comes the second key element. Jesus says to turn the other. In the original text, the word used is strepson, derived from the verb strepho. This word does not mean simply presenting the other side of your face. Its primary meaning is to turn, to change direction, to withdraw, to walk away. When this verb appears elsewhere in the New Testament, it often describes someone turning around or distancing themselves from another person. In first-century Jewish culture, turning one's back was not a sign of weakness. It was a conscious, symbolic act that meant refusing to engage, declining to respond, and preserving one's dignity through intentional silence. When all these elements are brought together, the meaning becomes unmistakably clear and radically different from the traditional reading. Jesus is essentially saying this: when someone tries to humiliate you, to attack your honor or destroy your reputation, do not engage. Do not respond. Withdraw with dignity. This is not passivity. This is not fear. This is a form of resistance rooted in inner strength. It is the refusal to allow an aggressor to control your emotions, your reactions, or your identity. It is choosing self-mastery over retaliation. Jesus was not teaching people to be weak. He was teaching a kind of strength that disarms the oppressor without resorting to aggression. When someone insults you, spreads falsehoods about you, or tries to damage your name, whether at work, in your community, in public spaces, or even in religious settings, the instruction is clear. Turn away, keep walking, maintain your posture. In this context, silence is not defeat. It is authority. This interpretation is supported by historical and linguistic evidence. Ancient Jewish texts clearly distinguish between physical violence and offenses against honor. Modern scholarly studies show that Jesus presents a third way, beyond violence and submission, a non-violent resistance that preserves dignity. Even authoritative Greek lexicons affirm that strepho implies a deliberate turning away or withdrawal, not surrender. When we look at the broader context of the Sermon on the Mount, a consistent pattern appears. Jesus gives multiple examples of creative resistance, doing more than what is unjustly demanded to expose wrongdoing, responding in unexpected ways that reveal moral imbalance, acting without causing harm. Each example reinforces the same principle: protect your dignity and break the cycle of escalation. This message is not confined to ancient history. It speaks directly to modern life. Every one of us has faced moments where someone tries to provoke, humiliate, or discredit us. Our instinctive reactions usually fall into two extremes. We strike back verbally and lose our peace, or we remain silent while feeling defeated inside. Jesus offers another path: intentional withdrawal without resentment, silence without loss of self-worth. Jesus himself embodied this teaching. When he was arrested, he did not fight back. When he was accused, he often remained silent. When he was led to the cross, he did not respond with hatred. The dignity he preserved until the end changed the course of history. How many times have we sacrificed our peace just to have the last word? How often have we won an argument only to lose something far more valuable in the process? The message here is unmistakable. Your worth does not depend on what others say about you or how many debates you win. True strength comes from knowing who you are and acting from that certainty. This verse, misunderstood for centuries, is actually a gateway to profound inner freedom. When you learn not to fuel unnecessary conflict, when you develop the ability to step away without bitterness, you become unshakable. This is the freedom Jesus came to offer, not merely freedom from external oppression, but freedom from endless cycles of conflict, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. If this perspective helped you see this teaching in a new light, and you now understand its true meaning, let it be known in the comments. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Save it to revisit later, because many insights only fully emerge the second time around. And if you want to continue uncovering teachings that have been misunderstood for generations, stay connected, because this is just the beginning. May God grant you the wisdom to know when to speak and when to walk away with dignity intact.